Hi everyone, some interesting news coming out of the Supreme Court and Justice Clarence Thomas, and this connects to a couple of other articles that I've been kind of following over the years. I recently got an email. I'm trying to remember what group it is. I don't know if it's like Protect Portland or some sort of like liberal moveon.org kind of group that is saying that I should sign this petition to make sure that Twitter and YouTube and all the major platforms continue to block Donald Trump, who is now a U.S. citizen. They're saying that he needs to be blocked from Twitter. I think they said that Susan Wojcicki was going to allow Donald Trump to start posting on platforms again, probably because they're expecting him to launch his own platform pretty soon. This is something that he has been discussing for quite a while. I wouldn't be surprised. I believe him and his sons have mentioned this before about starting their own platform. All of this starting for a while, and if anyone could afford to do so, it would probably be Donald Trump. So anyway, I got this email that was like, oh, you gotta sign this petition, which is just a spam, like an information gathering thing anyway. They just steal your info and use it for other fundraising type events. And they said that we needed to encourage the major tech companies to continue to block Trump for his hateful rhetoric and his anti-science rhetoric, etc. So I've been getting a couple of those. I thought that was kind of interesting, considering what it appears the Supreme Court will be ruling very soon. So this has been going on for several years. And in my home state of Maine, the Maine ACLU tried to sue the governor as well for blocking people on Twitter. So it's pretty fascinating. The ACLU used to be pretty nonpartisan, but now they basically seem to be another liberal strong arm to, I guess at this point, people who are quote unquote liberal are all about fascism and censoring people now at this point. It's really bizarre. So they want consent, and they want openness, and they want free choice and my body, my choice, except when it comes to the topics that they care about, and then it's all about censoring people. So, and I'm not right or left, as people know if you've been following me since I've been doing videos in 2016. I'm trying to use a common sense approach, and it's getting more and more difficult for me to try to rationalize or make any sort of common sense analysis out of any of this. And I guess that's why I've become more and more fringe, is because I don't really think my ideas as someone who is a quote unquote constitutionalist, or someone who believes people should have their own choices and their own free choice, and the government should not be telling what people are supposed to do. They're supposed to be protecting the Constitution, not instituting all kinds of fascist dictates that are run ultimately by corporations. So the fact, for instance, that I saw people a few months ago posting on social media saying, well, these platforms are private corporations, Facebook and Google and Twitter are private corporations, the internet, all of this sort of stuff, they can do whatever they want because they're a private corporation. These are liberals saying this, mind you. And then they're freaking out when, let's say, the Robinhood app, a couple weeks later, they're all up in a tizzy about the Robinhood app blocking people from their investments in AMC, etc. So you can't have it both ways. And I just want to point out, obviously, these people don't know the history of where the internet and Facebook and all of these groups actually come from. If you look at the history of DARPA and InQtel and the shadow government money that went to designing all of this military technology, everything that's used, and then it is privatized. So of course, like we see with everything, any sort of fascist government, you have the public funding and then the privatization of wealth afterwards. So let's say your toll roads or something like that, for instance, all these roads are built with your taxes, with public money, and then they're privatized. So it's the private gains that are made from this. So the fact that we see liberals actually doing backflips to try to rationalize the fact that censorship is great online now, I never thought I'd see the day, because I grew up in the anti-war age of all the liberals and Democrats and people who were against George W. Bush and against the illegal wars in Afghanistan and Iraq. And then now apparently everyone is, if you're a liberal, you're pro-war, you're pro-censorship, you're pro-big tech and big government. and I just never thought I'd see the day, but maybe you live and learn, right? So I did see some interesting news coming out. This is out of Natural News. Justice Clarence Thomas makes the argument that big tech platforms are common carriers. So we'll see how this goes forward. I would love to see this being finally made some sense being made out of this, because like I said, all of this technology was made with government money, taxpayer money, and then all of this has been privatized and used to destroy the United States and people all around the world. If you think about how bad the censorship is in the United States, it's worse in many other countries. These big tech platforms are common carriers that should not be allowed to discriminate based on political viewpoints. So definitely exciting that Clarence Thomas says this. Of course, I've always been pretty critical of Clarence Thomas because of his ties, him being at one point a Monsanto lawyer, a lawyer advocating for Monsanto. And now we've come to this complete inversion where he seems to be one of the more rational people on the Supreme Court. Like I said, even the liberals are trying to hashtag cancel Breyer right now, or hashtag retire Breyer, who is one of their darlings, for saying that the Supreme Court should not be stacked. In the case of Biden versus Knight First Amendment Institute at Columbia University, Justice Clarence Thomas has made the argument that tech corporations like Amazon are operating as common carriers and thus are not allowed under the law to discriminate against people based on their political beliefs, describing big tech platforms as a communications utility, which is what people have been saying should have been the way it's been all along. Thomas wrote that digital services like Google function as a gatekeeper between users and the information they are trying to obtain. Because of this, they have a duty and a responsibility to facilitate the free flow of information without impediment. So are they a publisher or are they a platform? So if you are a publisher, you are discriminating against what you want. You have the editorial process. If you are a platform and you are like a utility, then you cannot discriminate. When a user does not already know exactly where to find something on the internet, and users rarely do, Google is the gatekeeper between that user and the speech of others 90% of the time. And Google has done this through monopolistic principles. So apparently liberals like monopolies as well, because the fact that Google buys out, they threaten anyone, they've vacuumed up any other search term platform out there, and they've continued to do so for many years. It can suppress content by de-indexing, downlisting a search result, or by steering users away from certain content by manually altering autocomplete results. Facebook and Twitter can greatly narrow a person's information flow through similar means. So this is what we've been talking about for years with the digital book burning that we are now seeing online. Thomas also touched on Amazon's digital book burning practices, which threaten to eliminate free speech in the realm of publishing. As a distributor of a clear majority of ebooks and about half of all physical books, Amazon can impose cataclysmic consequences on authors, among other things, blocking a listing. As for the argument made by some that these tech platforms are not only the source for information and thus they do as they please, Thomas says that this changes nothing because the tech giants operate as virtual monopolies with no serious competition of which to speak. A person always could choose to avoid the toll bridge or train and instead swim the Charles River or hike the Oregon Trail, said Thomas in comparison. Exactly. So that's what people have always said, oh, if you don't like what they do, or, order something else online or try to find some other carrier or platform or use some other search term. But in assessing whether a company exercises substantial market power, what matters is whether the alternatives are comparable. For many of today's digital platforms, nothing is. Thomas suggests that laws that restrict the platform right to exclude. So I thought that was pretty interesting. I will put this article in the show notes. Pretty good that he is talking about this as well. Platforms are common carriers that should not be allowed to discriminate based on political viewpoints. So this could be big here. Let's see. Yep. This is a connection here with the communications utility, Biden versus Knight First Amendment Institute. So I also wanted to bring up these lawsuits here. Trump sued again for blocking people on Twitter. The free speech organization that successfully argued that it's a First Amendment violation for President Trump to block critics on his personal Twitter account sued him again on Friday for refusing to unblock certain individuals. So this July 31st, 2020, just a reminder. And then when I saw this, ruling that Trump can't block Twitter users could have implications for Maine lawsuit. So as I said, the Maine ACLU tried to sue Governor LePage for blocking people on his Twitter account. A court ruled today that President Trump can't block users from his Twitter feed in a case of that could have implications for an ACLU of Maine lawsuit against Governor LePage. So they also went after him for, it's called Luthi et al. Versus LePage, Maine ACLU, and then connected in with all of this, we could see about how all of this will go forward if the Supreme Court starts to take up some of these cases regarding tech censorship. And are these major platforms, Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc., are they platforms or are they publishers? So you can't have it both ways. So sometimes they argue that they're platforms and sometimes they argue that they are publishers. So of course, I have been going through my own censorship. I was blocked off my main YouTube channel due to, they labeled it as spam or something like that. Me reporting on voter ID proposals in 47 to 48 states now at this point. So I was blocked for, I think it was wrong content or spam or something like that. I haven't appealed it. It's just been blocked for a week. So I've started uploading more onto my second channel, Zoon Politikon 2. And then I've also started a Rumble account, which some people say that you have to connect your phone number, so they don't want to join that. So I will also be looking into starting an Odyssey account if I can get around to that. I am on Rumble. I am on BitChute, which is got my most subscribers up on here. And then I am also on Minds as well. You can find me on there. I am doing some more radio shows on Revolution Radio, and I'm also on a show called Truth versus News, which you can also find on BitChute. And I am also on Patreon, and I do believe I will be on Subscribestar soon. I'm just waiting. All of that is pending. So of course, you can PayPal or email me at zoonpolitikon@mail.com, and I appreciate all the snail mail. I got some mercury dimes in the mail this week. I got some seeds, some nasturtium seeds, so looking forward to planting those, and I am looking forward to the nice weather. So I hope you all take care. God bless. I love you guys. I always appreciate all of your comments. I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.